Pride ideology is being celebrated in a Church of England primary school, and if that isn't bad enough, we're seeing flags pop up on a children's cancer ward of all places. The independent safeguarding truths are now coming out, and it doesn't look pretty. Evangelicals are running out of options over same-sex blessings. And have you ever heard of the Sparkle Creed? Well, you don't want to. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Rev Dan. I'm a vicar in the Church of England, and this is Rev Dan's RoundUp, where I look at news that's happening in the Christian world and the church and that which affects us. So a lot of news to get through this week. Again, more and more keeps happening. We're going to start off with Pride. It's the last day of Pride Month, one day more, and that's it, isn't it, for another year? We're not going to hear about this again. Is it really? Is it true? But what's coming out, actually, reading an article in my research, is that there's pushback. There's more pushback, and I've always said this, against Pride. The further and further that Pride pushes, and if you've seen the video from New York saying that, is it they're coming after our kids? And now they're saying that's a joke, but apparently they've been saying it for a long time. People from not the edges, but in the middle, will start coming and saying, no, this is not acceptable. And when it starts coming into that middle ground where people, just living their everyday lives, if you do your own thing, it doesn't affect us, that's okay. When it starts coming into that, they start pushing back, and you're seeing this in the States, especially where it's prevalent, and it's huge over there, isn't it? That middle ground started pushing back and saying no. Bud Light, no. Target, who are selling those tuck pants for kids, no, we're not going to shop there, we're going to boycott you. And Bud Light lost billions off their value of their company, of the mother company. So and that's going to happen over here in the UK as well. It's going to get to a point in that middle ground and say no, and it's happening. And what I'm going to show you today will help you understand that things like this will go into that middle ground, and they say this is not acceptable. This is not going to happen on my watch. Thank you very much. So the first story is Kettering Primary School children parade with pride at Rainbow Day celebration. So we know schools are doing this, but this is a school in Kettering where they celebrate Pride all day by wearing festival the colours from the Pride flag. But remember, this is a primary school. This is children between 4 and 11 years old. And the whole school's getting them to dress up. The teacher who organised this, I'll get onto this in a sec, said, and justifying how the school does this, why the school does this. She said, one of our school values is remember that I commanded you to be strong and brave. So don't be afraid. The Lord your God will be with you everywhere you go. And that's from Joshua 1:9. So they're saying that the Pride Day fits with the vision of being strong and brave. Now look, years ago, when this Pride started coming out and fighting for the rights of lesbian and gay people, which is absolutely right. Not that I agree with the lifestyle being a Christian, but for the rights that humans have, you should not be discriminated because of your sexuality, your race, your gender, and all those things. We are all made in the image of God. We all have equal rights. Now, we all live our lives in different ways, and to say that you have less rights because of that is wrong. And so bring in the rights so they didn't get discriminated against in their jobs and things like that, and you should not be sacked because of because the way your skin colour is, the way your sexuality is. It's strong and brave. When it happened years ago, they stood up for rights, whether you agree with lifestyles or not. The intrinsic value of a human being is there. How people choose to live out their lives is shouldn't affect whether they have an income and certain rights in society. So what happened, same with the movement to be equal in race, is strong and brave at the time it starts happening. Now it's not strong and brave. I mean, it's strong and brave to say this is wrong, it's going too far, because you get cancelled, you get shouted down. This is fully accepted in mainstream society. This is absolutely, I mean, like if you're wearing pride at school, pride colours at a primary school, that's not strong and brave. It's just going into, is just confirming an absolute acceptance that the parents aren't saying this shouldn't be happening. Now, like I said, there are other schools doing this, but this is a Church of England school. And we had the news the other day that, and I did this in a video, of 2 13-year-old children who were defending 2 genders against their teacher after one of their classmates said they identified as a cat, and they said that's just crazy. Again, a Church of England school. This is affiliated with the Church of England, and perhaps, and usually there is a vicar that is on the board of governors here, would have known this coming up. How much you have influence into that, but definitely speaking into that would have been absolutely right, and they probably did. I'm not saying they did or didn't. Now, Miss Shrive, who organised this, I've seen on the internet, someone went onto their Instagram, and she is a lesbian. Is that a big thing? Well, you can put 2 and 2 together and say this goes beyond celebrating pride. This goes into a personal thing, and you've got to question the motives behind this. Really, why are you doing this? Why are you taking a whole day and getting out into the playground and waving flags and doing all this when there's children's education to be done? How can this gazump children's education? Do we do this for any other day so big in the education system? I'm not talking about like World Book Day or anything like that. I'm just talking about days like this. Are we doing it for those days as well? So it is a question of what is going on here. Is this person pushing it as agenda? Is it very personal to them, and they want, and where is the option? Is there an option for the parents to come out, and where is the Church of England speaking into this and saying, well, actually, the teaching of the Church of England says that this is not right, and the Church of England school has gone beyond the boundaries of being going through the teachings and the misquoting scripture to try and justify something like this. But the Church of England won't say anything about that. The diocese they were in will probably not say anything, so it will just carry on. And as I said in my other video, every Church of England school that does this, it's associated with the church, and it's saying, well, the church thinks this is all right, and actually it's not all right. And for primary school children, if my daughter or my son, my daughter's at primary school, was at the school, should be out. It'd be out because and until I find out why, what's the purpose of this? How's this helping her, and what is this bordering on indoctrination? Now, my daughter and son, they know about that we're made in the image of God, and people are different, and about loving people, but also that there's just things in the Christian faith that we cannot accept. And so what's the school teaching? Are they teaching contrary to Christian values? Or are they saying, well, and we know the answer, don't we? But going on with this and with this whole pride, this comes from the Daily Mail. Hospital facing backlash after chaplain puts LGBT flags up in prayer room for gravely ill children, leaving one practicing Christian mother shaking with anger. So this trans chaplain. So it's a woman who thinks she's a man, an activist, it says here, a minister at the United Reformed Church in Edinburgh, which has fallen, and in charge of spiritual care for the city's famous Sick Kids Hospital, has put up flag, not just a one pride flag, but a series of flags there, and one of the flags says you can have as many husbands or wives as you want. I mean, it goes beyond. They don't know where to stop, and it's having a flag for all inclusion, except for probably a flag with a cross on. And so has put this up in a room which we would call the chapel, right? But they've called it the chill out zone, and there's a sign there with the LGBT pride flag behind the words chill out zone. Now the hospital's saying, we meant to take that down, it was just a mistake. Even if it was up, and plus you're the adults here, this is children's ward and you're the adults, forget to take it down. It's just poor. It's very poor. So you've got the children who are on a cancer ward, and not all of them will be getting better, but some will be terminally ill. And yet, as this Christian family will be leaning on God, leaning on their faith, and going to this chapel, not chill out zone, to pray for their child to be healed, or God to be with them in the times of distress. And you walk in with Christian faith to a chapel, to a sacred place, and you see this multitude of flags, which is blasphemy, and just an agenda which this person has brought in, again because this person is a man living as a woman. He's got an agenda behind this, and he's brought that, and he's crossed a line. And again, same with the school, crossing a line, bringing it into a primary school, where kids are just young and they're still forming their thoughts, and he's brought an ideology into a time of crisis, hurt, despair, and times of hope and joy when they get good news, and you just don't need that, and this is what happens when this ideology comes in. It trounces any anything, any sacred space, anything that this is a cancer ward. It doesn't matter, because they want to get their ideologies in. And tomorrow finishes Pride Month, but it won't stop. It'll still be the battle. But remember, like I said at the beginning, the middle ground is pushing back. So moving on, the Independent Safeguarding Board's sacking. More revelations are coming out. Premier Christianity lead with the Church of England is not survivor focused when it comes to safeguarding, with the article by Jasvinder Sangre, who was one of the safeguarding officers who got sacked along with Steve Reeves. The whole situation is messy. They're saying in this interview that they were in a process of a dispute resolution, so things aren't going right anyway. She says, we have an email from the General Secretary with 7 points in terms of how they're going to move forward, and they only received that last week, and they asked for an independent mediator to get to a resolution. And so, there is a breakdown in relationship. It seems like it's moving forward, but before that happened, so in that process, they got sacked. She goes on to say, it's simply not true to say that we've been removed and our work of 19 months destroyed because of a breakdown in relationship. That is a lie. So there's more going on here, and this might be the story that I look in on Digging Deeper, which comes out, I would say Tuesday, but sometimes it's just so busy that I have to squeeze it in to record it, so it could be Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Church Times leads with the headline, "Row of Independent Safeguarding Board continues." So they say both these people are given their side of the story now and disputing the version given by the Archbishop of York the weekend before. So this is messy, and as I said before in my video about when they first got sacked, is that the survivors at the end of the day and how they feel. It doesn't seem like the Church of England and the Archbishop's Council have handled this well. More will be coming out, and it seems that the best thing to do is to look into this, because it is so serious what's happening. But which side does the fault lie? It does seem like it's baked down in relationship, but at the end of the day, if you are a survivor, how would you feel seeing what's happening, and could this be handled better? We'll be looking at that next week. So another sad news of an institution, you could call it, of going. Whipple & Co. Reported a few weeks ago are going to close its doors later this year, and the English Churchman, a Protestant family newspaper, after 263 years, is going to finish. It's a sad story, but probably all good things at some point have to come to an end, and we say goodbye. And I only just found them through doing this channel, but we will say goodbye very soon to the English Churchman after 263 years. Not a bad innings if it's cricket. Evangelicals in the Church of England are running out of options. So this is the Church of England Evangelical Council trying to find every way in the process to stop same-sex blessings, and now it seems that there's no more options left. It's going to go through. I can only imagine behind the scenes on both sides. It's trying to fight each other's arguments, but it always has seemed that the power has been with the bishops, and it's going to go through no matter what, and that's what I believe. I think it will go through. They'll find a way for it to go through. So what they're trying to do is to get the General Synod to vote on this by houses with a majority of 2/3 in each house, which would never carry. There isn't enough to carry that. That means it would stop, but it's not going to happen. They'll slide it through the back door somehow, and then we will see what happens. What's quite slightly worrying now is whether they give the options to PCCs to be able to vote on this. That means a church could vote that they want to do it and the minister doesn't want to do it, and that will be immediate breakdown in relationship. Many ministers will say, well, if you voted for this, then I'll walk, I have to go, or will go. Many will just, in a sense, down tools and just do what they need to do. It will it's going to be messy. We were told it was down to the incumbents, the vicars, to decide, but it seems that that could change. If it does change, that's the implications would be even bigger if the church leadership get to decide and not the incumbent. I'm going to be looking at this more this coming Sunday on my on this channel, doing a live at 8 p.m. Where we talk about the LLF thing at Synod and any other questions. So do join me for that. The link for that is also below. So Christian Today tells us in an article that Christian Charity holds protest outside Barclays Bank HQ over LGBT discrimination. So you've got a Christian Charity here called the Core Issues Trust and the International Federation of Therapeutic and Counselling Choice, which is a Christian ministry that offers counselling to people struggling with their sexuality or gender, had in 2020, without any reason, their bank account closed by Barclays Bank. Barclays Bank now have agreed to pay the Core Issues Trust $20,000 in compensation and legal issues. There's a petition signed by 72,000 people going to the CEO of Barclays, calling for the reinstatement of the Core Issues Bank account. I don't know whether, maybe they're doing that on principle. Barclays, I wouldn't bank with them myself anyway. Not a very good bank from what I look at their ethical standpoint. But it could be on principle. It's quite scary that this charity that helps people struggling with LGBT issues and feelings had their bank account just stopped because some people at Barclays just didn't agree. The implications, and it's great that they got that compensation and plus their legal costs back, because Barclays in that sense have admitted fault. What they did is wrong. But for it to happen to any Christian charity, that means it could happen to me or you. You've got the wrong stance on this issue, Rev Dan. Your bank has now been frozen. Doesn't matter that we can't buy food for the children or pay our bills. We don't like your stance on this, and this is what we are going to do. It's quite scary that banks who you trust and you put your money into, and they use your money, can just say, well, we're going to freeze your money now because we don't agree with your views. So great news coming out, the National Parliamentary Prayer Breakfast, which is an annual event organised by Christians in Parliament, or the All Parliament Party Parliamentary Group, and sponsored by Premier Christianity. 180 members of Parliament attended. Over 700 people gathered in Westminster Hall to pray, worship, and to hear Dr. Amy Orr Ewing speak about the significance of forgiveness in public life, which was the theme of this year's event. The Prime Minister was there, which was absolutely fantastic, and Amy Orr Ewing just lives down the road, but I haven't met her yet. I know her husband, but spoke there, and a great speaker, and what an opportunity to bring people into the presence of God and speaking about the truth of God in the world today to people who are so influential in our Parliament. We pray that people would have felt God's Spirit there and come to faith and use their platform to help those most in need in their constituencies. Not because they are MPs, by the way, because of their newfound faith. So as we come into land, if you've seen the Babylon Bee, if you don't know the Babylon Bee, go to Babylon Bee and sign up, and I follow them on Twitter, and I think Instagram, I think they're on as well. They say stories which will come true one day. They're satirical, right? They're satirical, and they lead with this. This is from the Anglican Inc. Pick this up. Anglican Church unveils tuck-friendly vestments. And if you know what tuck-friendly vestments are, you know where they're coming from. That's why it's satirical. But one day, people, one day there will be tuck-friendly vestments, which will be quite a thing. But you heard it here first. But leading on from that, so they got another website called Not the Bee, which is their news, not the satirical, but the actual news. And on Not the Bee, it's being reported of this new, it's horrendous, and I'm going to play it, so I'm warning you for those triggered, see how far you can get, of a new, what do they call it? It's basically a woke creed. It's a sparkle creed written, not written by an archdeacon, but I cannot confirm or deny that. So, but it's awful. You're taking the truths of Christianity and you're putting this heresy in and saying it in church. And by the way, I went and watched parts of this church service, and you cannot believe what they say, and you cannot believe that people go to these churches. It's awful and a challenge, and it's a challenge that people believe this nonsense. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with this thing, and I will see you next week for Digging Deeper, and on Sunday for the live stream. And I would say enjoy, but don't.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and let us confess our faith today in the words of the Sparkle Creed. I believe in the non-binary God, whose pronouns are plural. I believe in Jesus Christ, their child, who wore a fabulous tunic and had 2 dads, and saw everyone as a sibling child of God. I believe in the rainbow spirit, who shatters our image of one white light and refracts it into a rainbow of gorgeous diversity. I believe in the Church of Everyday Saints, as numerous, creative, and resilient as patches on the AIDS quilt, whose feet are grounded in mud and whose eyes gaze at the stars in wonder. I believe in the calling to each of us that love is love is love. So, beloved, let us love. I believe, glorious God, help my unbelief. Amen.